Every Audi B9 S4 has the same handful of failures, and I'm going to hand you all of them. Timing chain tensioner rattle, PCV oil consumption, water pump death, carbon buildup, and a transmission Audi lies to you about servicing. But the scariest one isn't the engine. It's a free 10-minute job that, ignored, becomes a $5,000 water damage repair. That's coming later. First, the fast facts if you're shopping right now. The B9 S4 ran 2018 to 2022 in the States, packing a 3.0-liter turbo V6 called the EA839, making 354 horsepower and 369 pound-feet, mated to a ZF 8-speed automatic. No manual, ever. 0 to 60 in about 4.4 seconds. Bolt pattern is 5 by 112, hub bore 6.5mm, factory wheels 18 by 8 or 19 by 8.5 in the ET30 to ET37 range. Buy a clean 2020 or 2021 under 60,000 miles, and you've dodged most of the drama. That's the short answer. Now let's spend the money. Start with the failure that generates the most forum panic. The timing chain tensioner. The EA839 is chain-driven, which should be good news, but early cars, mostly 2018 and some early 2019s, lose hydraulic pressure at cold start. The chain goes slack for a second, and you get a diesel-like clatter for 1 to 5 seconds before oil pressure builds. If that rattle clears fast, you're probably fine. If it lasts past 10 seconds or gets louder, treat it as an emergency, because a snapped chain kills this engine. Here's the myth bust. The internet swears the whole timing system is fatally flawed. It's not. Plenty of B9 S4s clear 80, even 100,000 miles with zero chain issues. The problem correlates hard with skipped oil changes and cold climate short trips. The fix, if you need it, hurts. Parts for a full chain job run $600 to $200, but labor is brutal because you're accessing the front of the engine, often dropping the subframe. Budget $1,500 to $2,500 at an independent, more at a dealer. Good news. Audi issued a TSB, and if the car's within 5 years of sale, ask about goodwill. Next, oil consumption. And no, this isn't the infamous 2.0T oil burner. The EA839's weakness is the PCV diaphragm inside the valve cover. It cracks or hardens, crankcase pressure spikes, and oil gets pushed into the intake. Owners report adding half a quart to a full quart every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. Symptoms: bluish smoke on cold start, oily residue in the intake piping, lean fuel trims. Yank the oil cap at idle, hold a rag over it. If it gets shoved off forcefully, your PCV is done. The fix is a valve cover replacement with the integrated membrane. OEM parts run $400 to $600, labor adds $400 to $700, so call it $800 to $1,300 total. Aftermarket rain assemblies are cheaper, but quality is a coin flip. Prevention is stupid simple. Run approved VW 504 or 507 spec full synthetic, and do not stretch oil changes past 7,500 miles on a performance car, no matter what the maintenance minder tells you. This car punishes lazy oil habits harder than almost anything Japanese. Now the re-engagement beat, the number nobody says out loud. That transmission Audi sold you on a lifetime fill? The fluid absolutely degrades, and it's the cheapest catastrophe you can prevent. Follow Audi's advice to never touch it, and by 60,000 to 80,000 miles you get harsh 1-2 upshifts. Cold, delayed engagement from park to drive, and eventually a mechatronic unit failure. That mechatronic replacement costs $500 to $3,000 in parts, plus up to $1,000 in labor. A proper multi-stage drain and fill? $250 to $450. Do it every 40,000 to 50,000 miles. Full stop. While you're thinking about fluids, don't forget the Quattro rear differential. It needs service every 30,000 to 40,000 miles, $150 to $300. Neglect it and you get whining, then bearing failure. If your car has the optional sport differential, same interval, but rebuilding a neglected sport diff runs $2,000 to $4,000. And on higher mileage cars, the two-piece drive shaft center support bearing wears out, giving you a floorboard vibration between 60 and 80 miles per hour. That's $200 to $400 in parts, $300 to $600 labor. Cooling is where this engine can die fast. The mechanical water pump uses a plastic impeller that separates from the shaft with basically no warning, and coolant circulation just stops. That's 300 to 500 in parts, 500 to 900 labor. There's also an electric auxiliary pump cooling the turbo that fails earlier, sometimes at 40,000 miles, and if it dies, your turbo bearings heat soak and cook. Smart move. Replace both together since the labor overlaps. And flush your coolant every 30,000 miles with G13. Ignore the temp gauge, and you'll be shopping for an engine. Because this is a direct injection engine with no port injection to wash the valves, carbon buildup is guaranteed, not a maybe. By 60 to 80,000 miles, you get rough idle, misfires, hesitation. The fix is Walnut blasting the intake ports, 400 to 800 at a shop, or a DIY rental kit for 150 to 250. Community consensus says clean every 40 to 60,000 miles. And while you're in there, an oil catch can on the intake side genuinely slows the carbon rate. It's one of the smartest cheap mods on this platform. The rear of the engine valley leaks. The plastic coolant flange cracks and weeps. First sign is a sweet smell from your vents. OEM parts only 100 to 200, but labor is 400 to 700 for access. Same story with the oil filter housing gasket, $30 to $80 part, 300 to 500 labor. Here's the play. Anytime you're back there for the valve cover or PCV, replace the coolant flange and oil filter gasket at the same time. Otherwise, you're paying that brutal access labor 2 or 3 separate times. Suspension. The front lower control arm bushings, especially the rear trailing bushing, go soft around 50 to 80,000 miles. You get vague steering, wander, and inner edge tire wear that quietly eats your tires. Audi sells the whole arm as an assembly, 200 to 350 OEM each, or Lemforder and male arms for 150 to 250. Do both sides. Always follow with a 4-wheel alignment, 100 to 200 bucks, because this chassis is genuinely sensitive to spec. Rear subframe bushings can loosen too, and Super Pro or PowerFlex poly kits fix it while sharpening handling. If you're upgrading wheels, this is where owners burn money. Enthusiasts jump to 19x9 or 20x9, and the wrong offset without proper hub-centric spacers causes vibration, chewed wheel bearings, and in extreme cases, sheared studs. Worse, mismatched rolling radius side to side triggers Quattro fault codes and wears the center diff. For 3-piece forged fitment on B-platform Audis, threepiece.us runs a real fitment database and consultation, which matters because the B9's Brembo caliper envelope is a known clearance headache on 18s. Get the fitment right the first time or pay for it twice. And here's that free 10-minute job I promised. The panoramic sunroof drains clog with leaves and pine needles. Water overflows into the headliner and A-pillars, then reaches the footwells, and it can drown the amplifier under the rear seat and the electronic module under the dash. That's a $2,000 to $5,000 water damage repair. Prevention costs nothing. Clear the drains with compressed air every 6 to 12 months. On the electronics side, the MMI freezes and black screens, fixed with software updates or a volume knob and menu button reboot. And 2018 to 2019 virtual cockpit clusters go dim or dead, 800 to 1,500 to replace. So which year do you buy? Avoid the 2018 unless it's cheap and you've inspected it. It has the highest timing chain rattle rate, early MMI bugs, and virtual cockpit failures. The 2019 is transitional and safer. The 2020 and 2021 are the sweet spot. Most software sorted, mechanical package dialed in, mileage still low. The 2022 is the newest, but costs the most for no reliability gain. A 2018 with 70,000 miles goes for 28 to 35 grand. Tempting, but budget 2 to 3,000 for deferred maintenance on day one. The pre-purchase inspection is non-negotiable, and the single most important part is the cold start. Tell the seller not to warm it up beforehand. That's a hard rule. Listen for chain clatter in the first 5 seconds. Watch for blue smoke, and note how fast the temp gauge climbs. Pull codes with VCDS or OBD11. Check long-term fuel trims. Anything beyond plus or minus 10% points at PCV or intake trouble. Look at the tire wear, flashlight the rear engine valley for weeping, and get the dealer's TSB history so you know which software actually got applied. Here's the honest downside, and it applies to things I'd tell you to buy too. This is not a set-and-forget car. Budget $2,500 to $2,500 a year for proactive maintenance and find a trusted independent Audi specialist. Because deferred oil changes and ignored fluids that a Toyota forgives will compound into real bills here. If you want zero engagement, walk away. But against an M340i or an AMG C43, the S4 isn't a money pit. It just punishes neglect. Bottom line, buy the history, not just the car. A B9 S4 with receipts is a completely different animal than one without. Get the inspection, run the cold start, pull the codes, and if it all checks out, this is one of the most satisfying sports sedans your money can buy. If you're upgrading wheels or suspension, hit threepiece.us for proper B9 fitment before you order anything. Like, subscribe, and drop your S4 questions below. I read them.